there, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here, and I hope that you are having a good week thus far. Now, as you all know, we've had quite the eventful weekend this past weekend, and in part with that, we've also had some notable celebrity passings that occurred from late last week into through the weekend. And I had shared in one of my previous videos that I actually was going to do somewhat of a reflections or remembrance video for those individuals, so I can kind of put them all together, because it seemed to be, back to back that we were getting those announcements. It's very much like what I did for the incomparable Miss Tina Turner. And so I wanted to do the same here. And one thing about when we do reflections or remembrance is what I enjoy is not only that we're doing the reflection for the celebrity of the individual, we're also looking at things and ways that they contributed to the world and how they left their mark on the world through their art or through their activism or through the different things that they've shared, through the trials and triumphs that can be very much relatable to all of us in the masses. We all reflect on individuals who are close to us within our friends group, families and stuff as well. And these individuals are really no different when it comes to that. So I thought it would be interesting to learn a little bit more about these individuals as well. And I hope that you will enjoy, and definitely leave your thoughts, your condolences as well is perfectly fine to go ahead and do that in the comment section below. And, maybe how these individuals, if they had impact in your life, or things that you may have chosen to do, if they inspired you to do anything, throw those down in the comment section. Also, if there's any types of film or television or whatever the case may be that's associated with one of these individuals that you quite enjoy, more certainly put those down in the comment section as well. So again, I'm so glad that you are here, and I think we're going to get started with our very first sharing. Now, this is a lady that has been around for quite some time. I will have to share, or in the sharing, I should say, I will have to change a few of the words around. You'll see why as we get into it. But for the most part, hopefully we'll be able to do it without doing so much of that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our first sharing, which is Dr. Ruth. I'm sure a lot of y'all probably will remember her. She was quite a pivotal individual for quite some time, with a lot of education that she chose to share with us. And so there may have been some that she's definitely really helped in that department. So let's go ahead and start with Dr. Ruth. Give me just a second. We're dealing with some storms here, so things are a little bit hesitant in moving forward. All right, here we go. Now, this sharing has actually been provided through USA Today, and it shares that Dr. Ruth Westheimer had passed away at the age of 96 after decades of frank advice about sex. The diminutive expert who helped Americans talk more openly about sexual relations has passed away at the age of 96, joking on social media until near the end. Now, Dr. Ruth Westheimer was the diminutive expert whose heavy German accent and straight talk about sex on radio and TV brought frank discussions about relationships into American pop culture. And she had passed away. Known as Dr. Ruth for her books and radio and TV appearances, Westheimer had passed away at her home this past Friday in New York City. It was announced Saturday by her frequent co-author and spokesman, Pierre Lehoux, who confirmed her passing to USA Today. She was restful when she had passed away, Lehoux told People. Her son and daughter were with her and holding her hand at the moment. It was as peacefully as she could possibly go. Indefatigable until the end, Westheimer, who escaped the Nazis as a child in her native Germany, was writing and posting on social media about the many things that interested her as recently as last month. She had shared that when she was younger, she had said that she had both skied and water skied. So yes, she would have tried, as she wrote on June 27th. And I believe that was in relation to a post that she had saw where someone had asked, hey, would you do this type of activity? And she was jokingly saying, yeah, I think I will do that. And I would actually be doing that all the way up until, I would have done that up until last year, which she was 95 at the time. Now, Dr. Ruth had shared SEX advice for young people in a sit down with USA Today to promote 2019, a theatrical documentary about her Ask Dr. Ruth. She said that she had some advice for the growing number of young people who say they were too busy and stressed out or cash strapped to go on dates. Don't be stupid, she says. Make sure that you have time for SEX, she implored. Here is an activity that is so enjoyable and it's free. Make sure you have a relationship and don't fall into the category of people who lost the art of conversation. She published 3 books in 2018 alone, and in January 2019, she attended the documentary's premiere at Sundance Film Festival, where it received overwhelmingly positive reviews from critics. The film had explored how Westheimer's tragic past has shaped her into the joyful, candid, and tenacious woman that she had become, and they basically also did go through how she seemed to be on social media. She seemed to really enjoy her fun time on social media. She had entertaining X accounts, and it was peppered with perky posts reflecting her upbeat, positive personality, which is something that she always seemed to pretty much incomparable in all the years that she has been around. She always seemed to be kind of just that upbeat, real, just down to earth type of individual. And now hashtag first snow and I'm staying home was supposed to go to a party for a new book, but can't go. A little person, I'm 90 and afraid of falling in a lot because no cars are available. She had wrote merrily from her trademark handle. At Ask Dr. Ruth in November 2018, in between posting admiring comments on art she saw at galleries or enthusing about the possibilities of enjoying different types of positions more in her old age. She was plunging at a Holocaust book about the late Nobel Peace Prize laureate Elie Wiesel under a witness lessons from Elie Wiesel's classroom. So basically what she was doing was sharing some of the activities that she was doing, some of the books that she was reading, some of the things that were interesting her. She would do that in giving and providing posts throughout her X account. Over the last few years, and probably much longer when it was Twitter. She would share that she didn't plug many books, but that book was one that was important to me, and that was the one that was listed from Elie Wiesel's classroom. And she declared in a video clip. Her devotion to the truth and history helped her overcome her initial reluctance to cooperate with the documentary by filmmaker Ryan White, especially given her desire to keep work and family separate. She does go further into talking about just who she was in her beginnings and how she came to be, as we know, Dr. Ruth. Now, Westheimer eventually had warmed to the project as a way to share her refugee experience with others, but also to tell Holocaust deniers to stop denying the Holocaust. There are people who say, look at what happened so long ago, stop talking about it, so I have to combat it. So through her own personal experiences that she has had to deal with as a child herself, she wanted to make sure that she had left that as a mark of education for others. Sharing further goes into saying, to the end, Westheimer championed the benefits of remaining active even in her old age. Boredom can be fatal, she preached. I'm really fortunate that I am healthy and that I love what I am doing, she told USA Today. And I tell older people not to retire, but to rewire. They don't have to stay in the same profession that they are and can do something else. But don't sit home and be bored. And I agree with that. Now, Dr. Ruth kept her personal life personal. Westheimer was always private about her personal life, including her 3 marriages. She was a bit coy with USA Today in 2019 about whether she was dating. And she said, next question, as she said laughingly. Her third and final marriage was in 1961, and it was to Fred Westheimer, which she called her real marriage. It had lasted until his passing in 1997. But she spoke fondly of her 2 grown children and 4 grandkids with whom she spent any free time at home in New York with. She says, I am the proudest, and I write that in big letters, of my terrific 4 grandchildren, even when they beat me in chess. Westheimer said, mostly I take them to dinners or show. I'm not a grandma who bakes cookies. So she likes to get out there, right? That's what she was sharing. She liked to get out there. How did Dr. Ruth come to fame? Well, Westheimer, who had lived in New York since moving from France in 1956, had first gained fame in the 1980s when she was in her early 50s. For publicly discussing explicit X advice that experts say had previously been taboo. As such, she was an influential, if improbable, force in helping to dispel the last vestige of S-phobic Puritanism from American culture. She was first noticed in 1980 when she delivered a lecture to New York broadcasters about the need for sex education programming to help deal with the issues of contraception and unwanted pregnancies. That led to a radio talk show on WYNY FM called X Speaking, which was such a hit, it went into a national syndication and helped anoint Westheimer as a nationally recognized authority on X matters. She opened up by a dialogue about sex in a country that was pretty close minded about having a dialogue about X, which is in no easy feat, said the sexual educator, Debbie Herbenick of the Kinsey Institute, a sex research group at Indiana University in Bloomington. People were so open to her persona. She was able to be on the radio and be on TV and have this large cultural presence that made an innominable topic of conversation more comfortable and even fun. They go on to share more about her legacy, a lot of the books that she has written, a lot of the shows that she was on. They basically share that also before social media, she was very much invested in this course of media. And in the 1980s and 1990s, she had made appearances on many TV shows, Hollywood Squares and Quantum Leap, if you're at all familiar. She did a lot of recordings on Tom Chaplin's album, This Pretty Planet, and even in commercials. She did a 1994 Hyundai Prelude ad, if you can recall that during that time. Again, she further went into talking more about some of the books that she was interested in and reading, and some of the things that she had really gotten involved with. Some of those in part was that she had kept writing books. She called numbers 43, 44, 45. So that means she did about 45 books. It's quite a bit of publishing. And they all were published in the year 2018. The actual book was Stay or Go. And it was Dr. Ruth's Rules for Real Relationships with Pierre A. LaHoo in January. A Roller Coaster Grandma with LaHoo in February, and From You To with LaHoo in June. So these were some of the latest projects that she had worked on during that time frame. It says basically at heart, Westheimer was a teacher. She taught at Lehman College and Brooklyn College, Adelphi University, Columbia University, and even West Point. In April 2018, she was in her third year teaching at Columbia University at Teachers College, where she got her teaching doctorate in 1970. Definitely was shared that she was very approachable, and she had always a great word, and she was definitely remembered for her ability to communicate with people. Basically shared about Dr. Ruth's childhood and background. She definitely did share some very troubling situations that, of course, that she had was befalled upon her. She became famous, obviously talking about sex, but her background was less known, but it was also noteworthy. She had been born in Germany as Carola Ruth Duvall. She was sent in 1939 at the age of 10 by her family to an orphanage in Switzerland, where other Jewish children were sent to escape the Nazi regime. And shares that at the age of 16, she was actually trained as a sniper during the 1948 War of Independence. She had basically was wounded, and after recovery, she at that point moved to Paris, where she studied psychology at the Sorbonne. She has a son, Joel Wassemeyer, who was also a professor of education at the University of Ottawa in Canada. And he attributes his mother's success to hitting on a topic that no one else was discussing at the time. He basically shared that she was a pioneer in that way. She did it in a way that was not threatening to anyone. It probably helped that she had a certain accent that made it more maybe opening for people to take a listen to. And she really did share a lot of helpful information for many. The combination of her accent and her size, because she was a very short and statured lady, and the way she talked about things let people take their guard down, because obviously she's very personable. He had added, she's really smart, and the answers she gave were both common sense and insightful. They were funny, but they were always serious at the same time. She talked about her daughter as well, Miriam Westheimer, who actually works in international education in New York. Says her mother mother's attitude was always based on the here and now. She says that you don't know what tomorrow will bring, so make every moment worthwhile, she says of her mother's credit. Yeah, so many things, so many fun things to learn about Dr. Ruth, about things obviously that a lot of us may not have been aware of. And so I do behoove you that you do take an opportunity to do a little bit of research if you're interested in learning more about this really fantastic lady. So with that, we are definitely going to share again, rest in peace, and how she continues to, the things that she had shared has continued to move on and on through legacy. Next, I wanted to share about Richard Simmons. Let's go ahead and talk about Richard Simmons. A lot of us are very aware of Richard Simmons as well, because he is also a very pivotal individual throughout really time. All right. Go ahead and get into that one. Now, this sharing is actually coming from apnews.com. It says that Richard Simmons, who was a fitness guru, mixed with laughs and sweat, had passed away at the age of 76. Now, Richard Simmons, television's hyperactive court jester of physical fitness, who built a mini empire in his trademark tank tops and short shorts by urging the overweight to exercise and eat better, had passed away this past Saturday. And he had turned 76 actually the day before on Friday. Simmons had passed at his home in Los Angeles. His publicist, Etsy, had said in an email to Associated Press. He had gave no further details. Now, Los Angeles police and fire departments say that they responded to a home whose address the AP was matched with Simmons through public records, where a man was declared passed away from natural causes. Now, Simmons, who had revealed a skin diagnosis in March of 2024, had lately dropped out of sight, and sparking speculation had happened about his health and well-being, and his passing was first reported by TMZ. Now, Simmons was a former 268-pound teen who became a master of many media forms, sharing his hard-won weight loss tips as host of the Emmy-winning daytime Richard Simmons Show, which was a very, very, very popular show back in the 80s, and author of best-selling books and The Diet Plan, Deal a Meal. He also opened exercise studios and starred exercise videos, including the wildly successful Sweating on the Oldies line, which became a cultural phenomenon. My food plan and diet are just two words, common sense with a dash of good humor, he told the Associated Press in 1982. I want to help people and make the world a healthier and happy place. Simmons embraced mass communication to get his message out, even as he eventually became the butt of jokes for his outfits and flamboyant flair. He was a sought-after guest on TV shows led by Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, and Phil Donahue. But David Letterman would prank him, and Howard Stern would tease him until he had cried. He was mocked in Neil Simon's The Goodbye Girl on Broadway in 1993, and Eddie Murphy put on a white makeup and dressed like him in The Nutty Professor, screaming, "I'm a pony." I vaguely do remember that, yes, in the Nutty Professor movie. Asked if he had thought he could motivate people by being silly, Simmons had answered, I think there's a time to be serious and a time to be silly. It's knowing when to do it. I try to have a nice combination of being silly, cures depression, says. It had passed away, and it said at the time. It catches people off guard and makes them think. But in between that silliness is a lot of seriousness that makes sense. It's a different kind of training. Simmons' daytime show was seen on 200 stations in America, as well as in Australia, New Zealand, and the Philippines, Japan, and South America. His first book, Never Say Diet, was a smash bestseller. He was known to counsel the several severely obese, including Rosalie Bradford, who had held records for being the world's heaviest woman, and Michael Hebrenko, who had credited Simmons for helping him lose 700 pounds. Simmons put real people, chubby, balding, or non-telegenic, in his exercise videos to make the fitness goals seem reachable. Throughout his career, Simmons was a reliable critic of fad diets, always emphasizing healthy eating and exercising plans. There always will be some weird thing about eating 4 grapes before you go to bed, or drinking special tea, or buying this little bean from El Salvador, he told the AP in 2005, as the Atkins diet craze has swept the country. If you watch your portions and you have a good attitude and you work out every day, you'll live longer, feel better, and look terrific. Now, Simmons was a native of New Orleans, a chubby boy named Milton by his parents. He renamed himself Richard around the age of 10 to improve his self-image. He would tell people he ate to excess because he believed his parents liked his older brother more. He was teased by schoolmates and ballooned to almost 200 pounds. Simmons told the AP his mother watched Exercise and Guru Jack LaLanne TV show religiously when he was growing up, but he wasn't crazy about the fitness fanatic. Let's just say he didn't really care for him too much. He says, I wasn't ready for his message because he was fit and he was healthy and he had such a positive attitude. And I was none of those things. Simmons had went to Italy as a foreign exchange student and ended up doing peanut butter commercials and botulinum eating scenes for director Federico Fellini in his film Fellini Sitricon. I hope I said that correctly. He had told the AP, I was fat, had curly hair. The Italians thought I was hysterical. I was the life of the party. His life had changed after getting an anonymous letter one dark raining day. He said, I went to my car and found a note. It said, Dear Richard, you're very funny, but fat people die young. Please don't die. He was so stunned that he went on this starvation diet that left him thin but very ill. After the crash diet, he gained back 65 pounds. Eventually, he was able to devise a sensible plan to take off the pounds and keep them off. I went into the business because I couldn't find anything I liked, he said. When Simmons had been seen in public for several years, some new outlets speculated that he was being held hostage in his own house. In telephone interviews with Entertainment Tonight and the Today Show, Simmons refuted those claims and told his fans he was enjoying the time by himself. Filmmaker writer Dan Tabarsky, one of his regular students, had launched a podcast in 2017 called Missing Richard Simmons. Now, in 2022, Simmons had broken 6 years silence with his spokesperson telling the New York Post that his beloved fitness icon was living life as he had chosen. One of the online tributes after Simmons' passing was from actor-comedian Pauly Shore, who previously developed an unauthorized biopic of Simmons, which Simmons objected to at the time. I just got word, he said, like everyone else, that the beautiful Richard Simmons has passed away. He began in his Instagram post, I hope you're at peace and twinkling up in the heavens, adding, you're one of a kind, Richard, an amazing life, an amazing story. And he continues to rest in peace. Next person we have is Shelley Duvall. And a lot of y'all will probably remember her from a lot of pivotal moments, actually. One in particular is the movie Shining, which was a very, very popular movie. But there's so much more that has happened that she had worked with and dealt with and did over the years as well that may not have gotten as much shine as that movie itself. Shining. But the Hollywood Reporter has states that Shelley Duvall, Robert Altman protege and tormented wife in The Shining, had passed away at the age of 75. The versatile actress, also memorable in Macabre and Mrs. Miller, Nashville, Popeye, and Three Women, produced TV series for kids as well. Shelley Duvall, the saucy-eyed, rail-thin waif who starred in 7 films directed by her mentor, Robert Altman, and avoided the axe-wielding by an unhinged Jack Nicholson and Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, had died on Thursday. She was 75. Duvall had passed away in her sleep of complications from diabetes at her home in Blanco, Texas, a spokesperson, Gary Springler, told The Hollywood Reporter. My dear, sweet, wonderful life partner and friend left us. Too much suffering lately. Now she's free. Fly away, beautiful Shelley, said Dan Gilroy, her life partner since 1989. In November 2016, a disheveled Duvall had appeared on an episode of the syndicated talk show Dr. Phil and revealed that she was suffering from mental illness. She said that she was very sick at the time and that she had needed help. And she had said that for 4 years later, Seth Aberbeck had visited her for a memorable story. Before she fled Hollywood for her native Texas in the mid-1990s, Duvall had a thriving career as a versatile, one-of-a-kind actress and head of her own production company, Think Entertainment, which created star-studded innovative children's programming for cable television that netted her 2 Emmy Award nominations. While attending junior college in her hometown of Houston, Duvall was discovered by Altman staff members and talked into taking a screen test. She then made her on-screen debut as a teenage seductress at Astrodome tour guide Suzanne Davis and Brewster McCloud in 1970. A decade later, Duvall sang and starred opposite Robin Williams as the iconic comic strip character Olive Oyl, the strong-willed damsel in distress, and Altman's live-action adaptation of Popeye. In between, the childlike star collaborating with Altman as a mail order bride in Macabre and Mrs. Miller in 1971. As the woman who has a Mississippi romance with bank robber Keith Carradine in Thieves Like Us in 1974, and as a groupie of L.A. Joan, fond of hot pants and platform shoes in Nashville in 1975. She also played as the wife of President Grover Cleveland and Buffalo Bill in The Indians or Sitting Bull's History Lesson in 1976. And as Millie LaMorose, a fantasizing attendant at a Palm Springs health spa for the elderly and three women in 1977. Asked by the New York Times in 1977 why she chose to keep working with Altman, she had said, "He offers me damn good roles. None of them have been alike. He has a great confidence in me and trust and respect for me, and he doesn't put any restrictions on me or intimidate me, and I love him. I remember the first advice he gave me. Don't take yourself seriously. Sometimes I find myself feeling self-centered, and then all of a sudden, that bit of advice will pop into my head and I'll laugh." Altman once noted that Duvall was able to swing all sides of the pendulum. Charming, silly, sophisticated, pathetic, and even beautiful. She won the Best Actress award at the Cannes Film Festival for portraying Millie and for the film adaptation of Stephen King's The Shining. Duvall says she was put to the test during a 13-month shoot in England. In the horror classic, she plays the besieged wife, Wendy Torrance, who spends a harsh winter at the desolate Overlook Hotel with her writer husband, Nicholson, who slowly goes mad, and their young son, Danny Lloyd. Kubik had her crying 12 hours a day for weeks on end, she said in a 1981 interview with People magazine. "I will never give that much again. If you want to get into pain and call it art, go ahead, but not with me." Before a scene, she told Amber Bitch that in January 2021, she would put on a Sony Walkman and listen to sad songs, or you just think about something very sad in your life or how much you miss your family or friends. But after a while, your body rebels. It says, "Stop doing this to me. I don't want to cry every day, and sometimes just that thought alone would make me cry. To wake up on a Monday morning so early and realize that you had to cry all day because it was scheduled, I would just start crying. I'd be like, oh no, I can't. And yet I did. I don't know how I did it." Jack said that to me too. He said, "I don't know how you do it." One report said that she was forced to perform her iconic scene with a baseball bat an exhausting 127 times. Memorable every time she showed up on screen, Duvall also portrayed a spacey rock journalist in Woody Allen's Annie Hall, 1977. It appeared as Pansy in funny scenes with Michael Palin in Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits, 1981, and played Steve Martin's supportive pal Dixie in Roxanne in 1987. Roger Ebert wrote in 1980 that Duvall looks and sounds almost like nobody else and has possibly played more really different kinds of characters than almost any other young actress of the 1970s. In all of her roles, there is an openness about her as if someone or somehow nothing has come between her open face and her eyes. No camera, dialogue, makeup, method of acting, and she's just spontaneously being the character. She returned to acting in 2022 after 2 decades away with a role in The Forest Hills. Shelley Alexis Duvall was born in Fort Worth on July 7, 1949, the oldest of 4 children and the only daughter. Her parents, Bob, a cattle auctioneer turned attorney, and her mother, Bobby, a realtor, brought the family to Houston when she was 5. She attended South Texas Junior College, where she studied to be a research scientist and was interested in nutrition. At a part she threw for her fiance, artist Bernard Sampson, she met members of Altman's crew while they were in town filming Bruce McCloud. They brought her to meet the director and producer Lou Adler, and they offered the gawky 20-year-old with an overbite a role in the movie. Duvall, who had never traveled outside of Texas, turned them down at first, but then agreed to take a screen test. "I got tired of arguing and thought maybe I am an actress," she said. Her resume would go on to include F. Scott Fitzgerald's Bernice Bobs, Her Hair, 1976, for PBS Frankenweenie in 1984, Changing Habits in 1997, Home Fries in 1998, Jane Champion's The Portrait of a Lady in 1996, I believe that's Jane Champion's actually, Suburban Commando in 1991, and in her last acting appearance for a while, Manna from Heaven in 2002. If you saw any of those movies, definitely share that below. In 1981, Duvall had recorded Sweet Dreams, an album of music for children. A year later, Showtime about her pitch that turned into 26 episodes of the Peabody Award-winning Fairy Tale Theater, which she executive produced, narrated, and appeared on. 3 years later, she created Tall Tales and Legends, a 1 hour anthology series also for Showtime that featured adaptations of American folk tales. On both shows, Duvall persuaded A-listers like Williams and Terry Garr, Eric Idle, Jeff Bridges, Mick Jagger, Liza Minnelli, and Vanessa Redgrave to work for scale. Both series also were big sellers on video. In 1987, she launched Think Entertainment, which specialized in family entertainment, like Shelley Duvall's bedtime stories, featuring the likes of Bette Midler, Michael J. Fox, and Dudley Moore, reciting classic children's tales, and Mrs. Wiggle Wiggle. And she produced telefilms, including ABC's Backfield in Motion, starring Roseanne and Tom Arnold. Duvall had married Sampson during the filming of The Brewster McCloud, but they divorced over 4 years in 1974, soon after they arrived in Los Angeles. She later dated musician Paul Simon, whom she met in New York around the time of Annie Hall. He also had a cameo in the movie. They lived together on Central Park West until he left her for a friend, Carrie Fisher. She said he broke the news to her as she was about to board the Concorde to London to work on The Shining, and she cried during the entire flight. Duvall also lived with Stan Wilson, who played Oscar the Barber in Popeye, before meeting singer-drummer Gilroy, a member of the pop group Breakfast Club, who had been Madonna's boyfriend at the time. They fell for each other after starring the 1990 Disney Channel movie Mother Goose, Rock and Rhyme. Survivors include her brothers Scott, Stuart, and Shane. May she rest in peace. Next, we're going to reflect on James Sikking, and I hope I'm saying that right, from NBCnews.com. They shared that basically he had passed away. And I don't know if many people had known that this had happened, because I didn't see a lot of writings about that until maybe the day after, I think. So it's probably coming to light more now. Basically, he was widely recognized for his portrayal of Howard Hunter on the police procedural series Hill Street Blues, which aired from 81 to 87 on NBC. He also was on Doogie Howser, MD, and he had passed away at the age of 90. Psyche had died actually on Saturday of complications of dementia, his publicist Cynthia Snyder had said in a statement Sunday evening. In a remarkable career, Sikking's wonderfully exciting face gave us drama, comedy, tragedy, and hilarious farce. Snyder shared with Variety, and his career spanned over 6 decades in television and film on stage. Sikking was widely recognized for his portrayal of Howard Hunter on the police procedural series Hill Street Blues, which aired from 81 to 87 on NBC. He received an Emmy nomination in 84 for his performance as a clean-cut, pipe-smoking lieutenant. After Hill Street Blues, Sikking had played Dr. David Hauser, father of Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris, who played him, for all 4 seasons of the ABC medical sitcom from 89 to 93. He had portrayed a police officer again for Stephen Baccio, co-creator of Hill Street Blues, and Doogie Howser, MD, on the short-lived CBS series Brooklyn South from 97 to 98. Early in his career, Sikking had did guest stints on such television series as Perry Mason, General Hospital, The Outer Limits, The Fugitive, Rawhide, Bonanza, Ironside, Starsky and Hutch, and The Rockford Files, before becoming a series regular on Hill Street Blues. In 2004, he had appeared in 2 episodes of HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm. On the film side, he was known for playing Captain Styles in 84 Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. He directed by the starring Leonard Nimoy and the director of the FBI and Alan J. Pakula's 93 legal thriller, The Pelican Brief. Additional film credits include Point Blank, Maid of Honor, Fever Pitch, Charo, Final Approach, Ordinary People, Terminal Man, and Bronze Express. He worked on 4 films directed by Peter Hyams: Capricorn 1, Outland, The Star Chamber, and Narrow Margin. The youngest of 5, James Barry Sikking, who was named after the Peter Pan author, was born on March 5th, 1934 in Los Angeles to Andy and Sue Sikking. He graduated in 1959 with a degree in theater arts from UCLA, where he had met Florine Chaplin, his wife of more than 60 years. Sikking is survived by his wife, son Andrew, Paula, his daughter, and Dr. Emily Sikking, Mallory Chip Milam, and 4 grandchildren, Lola and Gemma Sikking, and Hugh and Maddie. Yeah, he had quite a bit of credits to his name. Right, and may he rest in peace. And lastly, we're going to cover Shannen Doherty. And one thing about Shannen that I really appreciated about her, and I know that that was quite a triumphant conversation to have, was how much she shared about what she was dealing with during her cancer journey. And I just think that her honesty and transparency throughout that process and what she shared to so many people, and for a lot of us who have been afflicted by, with family members and friends that have also too had passed away from one form of cancer or other. It was just very touching for her to share what she did during those last few years here. So let's go ahead and go into her sharing. Now, according to people.com, Shannen Doherty, star of Beverly Hills, 90210, and Charmed, and many others, actually had passed away at the age of 53. She was a devoted daughter, sister, aunt, and friend. The Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed star was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015. Shannen Doherty had passed away after years of living with cancer. People had confirmed again that she was 53. It is with a heavy heart that I confirm the passing of actress Shannen Doherty on Saturday, July 13th. She had lost her battle with cancer after many years of fighting the disease. Doherty's longtime publicist Leslie Sloan confirmed in an exclusive statement to People on Sunday, July 14th. The devoted daughter, sister, aunt, and friend was surrounded by her loved ones as well as her dog, Bowie. The family asked for their privacy at this time so they can grieve in peace, Sloan continued. The Beverly Hills 90210 star was just first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015 and spoke candidly to People in November 2023 about her stage 4 breast cancer, which had then spread to her bones, saying at the time that she didn't want to die. I'm not done with living. I'm not done with loving. I'm not done with creating. And I'm not done with hopefully changing things for the better, she told People. I'm not done. Shannen Doherty had passed away. And at the time, though, before her passing, let's move forward here a little bit. People had just assumed, and this is an interview that she'd actually shared most recently. Some of you may have seen that. I believe she did the interview with People. But she had shared that people just assumed that it means you can walk, you can eat, you can't walk, you can't eat, you can't work when you're dealing with a diagnosis of cancer. She said they put you out to pasture at a very early age. You're done. You're retired. We're not, she said. Adding, we're vibrant and we have such a different outlook on life. We are people who want to work and embrace life and keep moving forward. And indeed, she did just that. Now, also before her passing, Doherty had hoped to raise funds and awareness for cancer research, while at the same time demonstrating to others that people like herself with terminal cancer are still individuals with plenty to contribute. Most definitely. When you ask yourself, why me? Why did I get cancer? And then why did my cancer come back? Why am I stage 4? That leads you to look for the bigger purpose in life, she said. Her candid comments had echoed her words from a 2020 interview with Amy Robach from ABC News that aired on Good Morning America, in which she was equally pragmatic. She had shared that I definitely have days where I say, why me? Doherty had a total book of the development in her health at the time. And then I go, well, why not me? Who else? Who else besides me deserves this? None of us do. That interview with Robach had marked Doherty first revealing her breast cancer and had returned as a stage 4 cancer after she had previously gone into remission. It's going to come out in a matter of days or a week that I'm stage 4, she said at the time. So my cancer had came back and that's why I'm here, Doherty said on Good Morning America. I don't think I've processed it. It's a bitter pill to swallow in a lot of ways. Although she gained praise for openly talking about living with cancer later in life, Doherty rose to fame as Brenda Walsh on the original Beverly Hills 90210, which premiered in October of 1990. The actress left the show after the 4th season in 1994. She later revisited the character with several guest appearances on the 2008 reboot 90210. After her Beverly Hills fame, Doherty was cast in Charmed as Ruth Halliwell, the oldest of 3 sisters who are witches, along with starring in the series. She also directed several episodes, and she left the show at the end of the 3rd season in 2001. Doherty worked steadily throughout her career and even ventured into reality television with a short-lived breaking up with Shannen Doherty and as a contestant on Dancing with the Stars. In 2019, she had signed on to join the TV reboot of Beverly Hills 90210, once again playing an adult version of the character that made her famous. Though the actress said she was aware of her stage 4 cancer diagnosis, she kept it a secret from the cast after the unexpected death of her co-star Luke Perry in March of 2019 at age 52. It's so weird for me to be diagnosed and then somebody who was, seemingly healthy to go first, Doherty told Roebuck on Good Morning America in 2020. It was really shocking. Doherty said participating in the TV reboot, which aired on Fox, was the least I could do to honor Perry, and it was also an opportunity to prove that she could continue to work despite her health. One of the reasons, along with Luke, that I did 90210 and didn't really tell anybody was because I thought people can look at that as people would stage 4 and can work too. She explained. Her strength was recognized by her fellow actors on the show, with Brian Austin Green speaking to people to praise her. Shannen is absolutely leading by example and showing people that even in the toughest of times, you can keep your head up and you can be a good person, Austin Green had said. And she is. She's an amazing person and an inspiration. Most poignantly, Doherty had talked in her 2023 People interview about her love of life, her gratitude for being able to wake up and spend time with her family, friends, and dog, and her hopeful approach to the future. My greatest memory is yet to come, she told people. I pray, I wake up, and I go to bed thanking God, praying for the things that matter to me without asking for too much. It connects me to a higher power, and spiritually, my faith is my mantra. She shared that the cancer had made her more aware of life and the world around her. I know it sounds cheesy and crazy, but you're just more aware of everything, and you feel so blessed. We're the people who want to work the most because we're just so grateful for every second, every hour, every day we get to be here. And again, I do hope that we were able to take a little bit from some of the sharings and just some of the things that these individuals had done, not only on screen but off screen, but the messages that they shared, some of the ways that they may have helped people. And again, most certainly leave your thoughts, respectful thoughts in the comment section, as well as your condolences. Greatly appreciate. You never know who may see the video, and just knowing that we can take and reflect on life and the things that we do in life and the works that we do in life and how it benefits others as well as it may have benefited us throughout the time is really the legacy that we all probably should be trying to leave. So with that, I am so glad that you were able to take some time with me, and I hope that you had and enjoyed receiving the information here in this Reflections and Remembrance edition. And with that, I will bid you adieu. Take care and be blessed. And until next time, bye.